All right, Algebra 2, how's it going? Hopefully you guys, went over, turned in last week's stuff. This is good review, factoring. We really need to make sure that we're staying on top of this stuff and understanding what's going on and reviewing this because you're going to factor a lot in any math class you do, whether you're going to pre-cal, trig, the same class, college algebra. I mean, any math class you take from here on out, you're going to need to factor. Okay. So last week we covered the normal slash the reverse FOIL method, which is the better name for it. And we covered, what did we do? GCF. Yeah, okay. GCF and our reverse FOIL. So this week we're going to cover real quick slide and divide, and this is just slightly different than the reverse FOIL method. You actually use the reverse FOIL method within it. Okay, slide and divide factoring, you only use this when it's a quadratic. The highest power is a 2. Trinomial. That means there's got to be 3 terms. But the difference between this and the reverse FOIL method is this number right here, this A value that's in the front. Last week, it was not even there. It was always a 1. This time, it's not going to be a 1. Okay? So, it's going to be anything besides 1. All right. So here is what we are going to do. We're going to use the slide and divide method when that occurs. Again, there's got to be a number in front. So the first thing you're going to do is slide that number, that A value, down to the C value. So basically using this one, it's going to go all the way down there. Okay? And you're going to multiply them together. So then it kind of looks like last week's. There's nothing in front of the x squared anymore. So with that happening, we're going to use our reverse FOIL method. Okay, and we'll go back over that here in a second. So let's just start that problem right here. First 2 steps. I need to take this 2 on down here. So when I take it down there, I got x squared plus 9x. But now it's going to be plus 18. Because 2 times 9 gets me that 18. So that 2 went down to the end, multiplied by the last number, and now it's not right here anymore. It's gone. And then we're going to reverse FOIL this guy. Remember, reverse FOIL. Set up 2 sets of parentheses. Put your variable, which in this case is an x, in the front of each parenthesis. And then I asked myself, what are factors of 18? They could also add or subtract to be the middle number. When you, in this case, that's a 9. Okay? All right, well, 18 and 1 is not going to make a 9. No matter how I make that work, it ain't going to work. 9 and 2 definitely ain't making a 9 either. It can make an 11, a 7, anything like that, positive or negative. 6 and 3, though, that can make a 9. So I put a 6, I put a 3. Remember the rule from last week? The bigger number, which in this case is a 6, gets the middle sign. Okay? And then you got to think a little bit on the 3. Do I want 6 plus 3 or 6 minus 3? Well, I want 6 plus 3 because it's got to be a 9 there in the middle. And it's got to multiply. 6 times 3 gets me 18. So it works. 6 and 3 can multiply to be 18, add to be 9. Okay, so we're good. That's our first 2 steps. Then, the last 2 steps. We slid, right? It's called slide and divide. I slid something. I slid this 2 down and multiplied it by the 9. But it's called slide and divide, so here comes your divide step. You're going to divide both of your factors by the same number you slid to start the problem. So at the start of this problem, I slid this 2 down. So at the end right here, I need to divide both of my factors by 2. The same number I slid. And then reduce if I can. So this becomes x plus 3. But I have an issue. 3 over 2 doesn't reduce, and it doesn't make a whole number. Right here on step 4, I tell you the factor must divide fully. If not, rewrite it as follows. And I let use some letters here. So if I have x, this could be a minus. My bad, it doesn't have to be plus. If I have x plus or minus, it doesn't matter, a over b, and that is a fraction that can't reduce and doesn't make a whole number, I take this b, this bottom of the fraction, and I stick him in front of the x. That's how I got bx plus a. So in my case, the bottom of my fraction is a 2. And it doesn't make a whole number. 3 over 2 is not a whole number. Can't reduce. So I take that 2, I stick it in front of the x. So it becomes 2x plus 3. And that's our final answer for slide and divide. And if you wanted to check yourself, you could FOIL this back out, and you should start off with the same answer or the same problem that you started with. Okay, let's do it a few more times. So on this one, again, I'm sliding the 5 down. And multiplying it by this 4, so I get 20 down there now. And then I reverse FOIL, so 2 sets of parentheses, x in the front of each. Factors of 20, they can make a 12. Nah, yes. So 10 and 2. Again, bigger number, 10 is bigger than 2, gets the middle sign. And again, if I need 12, then I want 10 plus 2. So I slid, I factored, and now I need to divide by the same, let's use a different color. I need to divide by the same number I slid at the beginning of the problem. I slid this 5. Now I need to divide by this 5. We multiplied it to begin, we divide it to end, kind of undoes itself, you know? So I get, this one, 10 divided by 5 is a 2. Oh, that's an ugly 2. And then 2 over 5 doesn't reduce, and it doesn't make a whole number. So again, I take the 5, stick it in front of the x, it becomes 5x plus 2. And that is our answer. Okay, one more time. This time I got a 3. Slide them on down. So I got x squared plus 7x minus 18. Okay. And then I factor, reverse FOIL, normal. So set up my 2 sets of parentheses, put an x in the front of each. I need factors of 18. That can make a 7. Nope, yes. 9 and 2. Again, the bigger number, which in this case is the 9, is going to get the middle sign. And of course the iPad's messing up, because that's all it ever does. Let's see if I can back out this. Still not working. Cool. Oh, let's see if we give it a sec here to work. Nope, let's just close out of the notes. Man, it would be real tough for it just to work. Okay, there we go. So, middle sign, bigger number, which is 9, gets the middle sign, so this has got to be a plus. This is one of the first ones that it's not going to be both plus signs, because 9 plus 2 is not going to get me a 7. If this is a 9, this has got to be a minus 2 in order for me to get a 7. Okay? And then we slid, we factored, and now I need to divide by the number that I slid to start the problem. So if I slid a 3, I divide by a 3. And so I get x plus, well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. This one, again, 2/3 does not make a whole number, and it does not reduce. So I take this 3, and I stick it in front of the x, which gets me 3x minus 2. And there's our final answer for slide and divide. Okay, so that is your first assignment. Let's see if I can squeeze this all into one video. The next one is difference of squares, right? Difference of squares is completely different than the other ones that we talked about. It can only be used with a binomial. It has to have two terms. Okay? Both of those terms have got to be perfect squares. The variables must be even powers. And if the problem falls into that, and there does guidelines, then it's going to factor into a plus b and a minus b. And how do I get a and b, you ask? Well, you take the square root of both terms. So we learned in class that the square root of a squared equals a, the square root of b squared equals b, and then you would just plug those two values right here. You'd have a positive version and a negative version. Okay? So let's go ahead and just do some problems here. This first one, we have x squared minus 16. They're both perfect squares. There's technically a 1 right here. 1 is a perfect square, so is 16. And our variable has an even power of 2. So I square root the first term. That's going to be what we call the a value. Okay? The square root of x squared is x. Then I square root the second term. Okay? The square root of 16 is 4. So, we know what a and b are. Now we go plug them into their spots. This is your answer right here, guys. This right here is just what your problem. This is your problem. Okay, your problem has to look like this or fall under these guidelines. This is how you write your answer. So in my case, a plus b is x plus 4, and a minus b is x minus 4. That is our factor. Okay, again, you could FOIL that back out to see if I'm right, to see if you're right. But it would work. Okay, so the next one, same thing. 9's a perfect square, 25's a perfect square, and our x is to the second power, an even power. So we take the square root of the first term. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of x squared is x. Then I take the square root of the second term. That's my b value. The square root of 25 is 5. So again, you start off by square rooting both of them. And you can only use it if they're both perfect squares. It's got to be two terms, okay? It's got to be a binomial. So I got my a and b, and now I just plug it in. A plus b a minus b. Okay. Got two more in like 2 minutes, so we're good. This one again, 49 and 4. Both perfect squares, so let's get it going. A is going to be 7x, because the square root of 49 is 7. B is going to be 2. So a plus b is 7x plus 2. Maybe. And a minus b is 7x minus 2. So there's our answer yet again. And then our last one again, 16 and 1 are both perfect squares. Also, I didn't point this out. It's called difference of squares. There's also got to be a subtraction sign in the middle of both terms. Okay? So, perfect square, subtraction sign, we're good to go. Find a. The square root of 16x squared is 4x. The square root of 1 is 1. So a plus b is 4x plus 1. A minus b is 4x minus 1. And that's our answer. Okay, so those are our two methods. We got slide and divide. Again, you can only use it if it is a quadratic trinomial and has a number in front. The steps are included. Difference of squares you can only use if it's two terms, binomial. They got to be perfect squares, and there's got to be a subtraction there. Okay? Got to wrap it up. If you guys got any questions, email me, let me know. Make sure you get this turned in. Keep doing your work. I miss you guys. Hope you all are staying safe. Peace out.